I tell the bands that they stop at 10 and then they want to do their last thing, and that's really what I'm trying to cover by asking to go later. Which I might not be able to do anyway because the fire department tells me 10 o'clock anyway. So,
Jay, would you be more comfortable with 1 to 9? 1 to 9?
Absolutely, for both evenings. I mean, we all realize the burden that we put on our residents down there, and as much as John is assuring us that it won't go to that time, I would just feel more comfortable on both evenings, given the noise ordinances that we have in town and the village, to end them both at 9 o'clock in the evening. I think it's a good compromise, still gives them enough time to host a successful event, but also end it at an early enough hour that it wouldn't be such a burden on the residents. So that's what I'd be more inclined to be willing to do.
would you say the same thing to Jim Faith?
He's closing at 9,
He's closing at 9 this year?
I believe.
No.
7 and 9?
That's it.
No, Jim Faith,
Oh,
the Great South Bay.
okay.
It's a much greater burden on the community. He does not nearly as much for this community as I do. So, I'd like to get the same treatment from the village as Jim Faith gets.
Okay, please,
I wouldn't get
I'm not gonna get into
No,
who
okay.
you like better.
Right, not even close to the
Just
same
please.
caliber.
Please.
Yeah, I was kind of a cheap shot, you know, we're just discussing it as far as community. You
Okay.
throw that out there?
Hold on a second, My personal sense is we do a 10 o'clock time, a cutoff at 10. That's what the fire department has requested.
Sure.
And that's what we make it be.
Okay.
And don't make anybody come down and pull a plug at 5 after 10. That's what we're for. And we can get this thing cleaned up and done with the law. And Billy, you'll meet with them and
Yes.
talk about signage for parking. Put the signage in place, make it the 10 o'clock time, on Saturday night, and 9 o'clock on Sunday night. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to close that, Mr. Mayor.
I oppose, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I still love you.
Thank you.
Gotta get you down there. Okay, take care, thank you.
Okay, Trustee Bill.
You're allotted time has been
I
utilized.
just wanted to give the cultural update, which is that there's an excellent show at the Patchogue Arts Council. We had a very nice reception the other day. If you have a chance, get down there. It's called, I believe, pronounced Minutia. It's some fabulous work. There's one artist who does etchings and lithographs, and they're the most detailed type of drawings of architectural scenes in Chicago and New York City that you would ever, you can't even imagine the work that somebody would put into one of these pieces. So highly recommend, if you're down that way, pop in at the Art Space building. And just to update you on what's going on at Plaza Mac, they're following up the Oscars with some Oscar winners. So you can still see The Great Beauty, which was the winner of Best Foreign Film. It's an Italian film. If anybody's a fan of Fellini, it's very Fellini-esque. You saw it, right? I saw it yesterday. It's a very good movie. They're also showing Dallas Buyers Club, and those films are showing every day this week until Thursday. And then Friday starts a movie called Omar, which was a movie that was nominated as a Best Foreign Film. So that's what's happening in Plaza Mac.
And at Art Space,
And at Art Space is Edward Robinson's
if
work.
we haven't
and
seen his
sister.
stuff,
Yeah, he and his sister, the work is beautiful, realistic paintings, all different types of scenes and animals, and he's a very, very talented painter.
Ed Robinson is a resident of Art Space. And the work that he does is just, he's got this picture of an elephant. That is, you almost think it's a photograph. It's so detailed. You really get the opportunity. And what's sort of neat about it is, you can take it a foreign film, you can go to
You can do it all.
Arts Council, and just don't forget the Art Space Gallery. It's just some wonderful, wonderful stuff that's been going on there by the people that live there.
And then finally, Plaza Mac had at one time been doing music and comedy in the actual theater, but now that they're doing first-run films, they're not able to use the space for that. So they're using, they call it Plaza at Brick House Brewery. So tomorrow, Plaza at Brick House Brewery has acoustic duets. Cassandra House and Leah Kay will be playing, and this is one of John Ceno's initiatives that he works on the Plaza Mac to produce. So that's tomorrow night at the Brick House at 7 p.m., and that's it.
One other thing, John talked about some of the stuff that he's done. The sculpture that's in the back of the library is his also. And just, so when you go back there, and you see that sculpture, it's something that he's done, and he's placed there. Where's it gonna end up? On
Going to
the,
be by the Carnegie Library when it's fully developed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, guests. I'd like to request approval for the PYAA to hold annual opening parade on Saturday, April 26th, beginning at 10 a.m. As you know, from most of you, the parade starts at Bay Avenue School, comes down right around to the opening day.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a request for approval for Act One Entertainment. Actually, I want to change this, but,
You wanna do it this week, or you wanna do it next meeting?
well, I'm going to change the hours now, so.
Okay.
Originally, Act One has made a request to have amplified music at Fireman's Park on Sunday, June 1st from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. for the
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
8.
No, actually 11.
Well, they start at 8, their sound check starts at 11, I believe. Right? Sound check starts at
Oh, June.
11. So, but the time I'm concerned with is the 10 p.m.
Well, it's a Sunday.
Do you want to read this? Okay.
I'm just discussing it with you.
Okay, I appreciate that. So being it's a Sunday, we should make it 9?
Yep.
Look at me like that.
Okay. 9 o'clock? That's all right? Early?
Yep.
So I'll just like to request approval for Act One Entertainment to have live amplified music at Fireman's Park on Sunday, June 1st. From 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. I'm going to change to 8 a.m. as well. That doesn't read well. What does it say this thing? 10? Oh, the sound check stuff, so amplified music
11.
is at 11 to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 13th Annual Act One Block Fest. It's a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay. I'd like to request approval for Pulse Magazine to hold the second annual Battle of the Burger. I believe it's Sunday, August 3rd.
It's a Saturday.
Oh, that might, I'm sorry, that's my error.
Okay. Motion. Sunday?
It's Sunday, yeah.
Sunday, August 3rd at Shorefront Park from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is the second year that they're having this burger contest. Last year, we were able to bill them for all the time that Parks Department spent there, and code, we billed them for code as well as the two highway guys that were cleaning garbage out of the area. So I'm confident that we'll be able to bill them for the same amount this year, if not more. And they're actually increasing their amount of people, so.
Eric, you submit the burger?
They asked me to. I think it was an invite thing last year.
Billy, what are they asking for people-wise?
1,500 to 2,000.
You know, it was jammed last year. I mean, it was,
Pretty neat.
that was great, but I don't think they could fit any more people in that space.
Well, we're definitely have to open up their little ring of
Make it bigger.
bars.
Just use a larger area.
Yeah, which we knew well into it last year,
Yeah.
that it was too small. And also their setup time was a little, we have something in the park the day before, and it took 2 days to set up, so that was a little awkward.
You have something the day before this?
We're gonna set up the night before this.
Okay. Will you have something there on the second? Do you have something in the park on the second?
Yes.
Yeah.
On, what was that date? There's some, I forget what it is, but there is something. There's, I know there's Tai Chi. But,
Okay. Motion to accept is presented?
the dance, the school dance,
Oh, okay.
it's on Saturday the 7th.
In the afternoon?
Yeah, relevant.
Relevant.
Relevant. So we'll let them in after that.
Okay.
It's
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's okay.
Sorry, Jim.
I'm looking forward to the afternoon. It's gonna be good.
Any other comments by the board? Public to be heard?
Josephine Miller, 276 West Avenue. I want to make a comment about the Alive After 5 issue. There was a discussion 2 weeks ago, a vote was taken and a decision was made. Yes. And we had a meeting with the restaurant owners. No residents were included in that meeting, even though the residents would certainly be affected by even a half hour more, because as Trustee Hilton pointed out, if they get a half hour more or an hour more, the clubs on the river want a half hour more.
Okay.
A decision was made, so I don't really understand why this is being revisited.
Because we did not have the restaurant owners here to speak, and they spoke tonight. Like we do with residents, when residents come and we ask them, as we're doing with the parking, taking a look at it as we go along. I see nothing wrong with it.
Well, I do,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
So I just have one more comment.
Okay.
When you vote next week, you have an opportunity to show who runs the village.
Please, you're right, Mrs. Miller, we do. Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Bojack?
Good evening, everybody. John Bojack, 8 Knoxon Street. Just have a couple questions, actually. The River Avenue Sewer Project, which is a good project. That grant that the people will get for hooking up, it brings to mind a situation that I had when I was part of the Green Homes program for the town of Brookhaven. I got a grant. They didn't tell us that that grant was income, and I had to pay taxes on it. Now, I don't know if that's been a factor in any discussions here, that when you give someone $1,000, they're also going to have to be aware they'll be paying a tax on that as income.
Just something, that hasn't even been looked at, I don't.
Possible.
It's possible, and I was shocked because in the participation of that program, it was never mentioned until the contract was already signed.
It's something we'll look into.
But something I would suggest, look, it's just, you know, people still may wish to take the grant, you know, because it might be a one-time opportunity, as you pointed out, but they should know that there might be an extra part to it.
Check it out.
To consider.
Yes, absolutely.
I also, of course, I do want to comment about the sound issues. And I want to clarify, the 15 minutes that's being asked for the clubs on Main Street, will that be extended to other localities or what?
No.
Or just the clubs on Main Street?
This is just for Alive After 5.
Just allow it to vote for this event. We can, by motion of the board, extend times on any events. This is an event, it's not in the code, it's an event, and that's the right that we have.
Correct.
To do.
Okay, I'm not questioning that. This is a practical matter. If it got extended to, as Mrs. Miller was talking about, to the riverfront areas as well, then there would be some practical issues for riverfront residents.
Yeah, no, not only that, it'd be the practical issue of that we would have to change legislation.
Okay.
This isn't a legislative piece, this is a board resolution, to either allow it or not allow.
Well, I find myself somewhat relieved to hear that, because it's just Main Street. I'm sure there'll be no code enforcement officers there to enforce what the board seeks, and that'd be a different situation for further away, where it might be hard to get code enforcement officer in time.
And because one of the things that we have to look at, and part of the board discussion. And as people look at it, is that at some point in time, we're gonna have 291 residents living in and about that. And then we need to take a look at it as that the music on Main Street, and how does it affect those residents that are living there? So I mean, it's not as simple as just saying, yeah, 15 minutes more here, 20 minutes more there. It is at some point in time going to be a practical one of the effect that it has on these 291 residents.
Right. I agree.
Because it will be the neighborhood that surrounds it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the Jerry Jam. You know, again, we have this conflict. It's a wonderful event. I know it's a wonderful event. Mr. Gino is entitled to his dream, and I hope he continues to make it. But then we also have the residents. Have you thought about, well, I'm going to suggest it as well, maybe when you have some of these kinds of requests of asking for the residents to come and hold a public hearing? Because, you know, if the residents came and they said, gee, we love that event, and he could play at 12 o'clock, that's one thing, as opposed to, really, it's unknown. He says one thing, I don't live there, I don't know, there were some other responses that from the last event, it's very murky. I would suggest maybe you should give some thought to when things like that come up, maybe there should be a public hearing. And so the people who are nearby can actually express themselves on the issue. And just lastly, real quick, the budget. The vote's coming up to pass the budget, but when, do we have any idea when the budget's actually coming up for a vote?
We will have a public hearing probably on the 8th, I think. 7th. And we have to have it, a hearing by the 15th, so we'll have it on the 7th. We have to adopt it by the 29th of April.
29th of April, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're in the process now. What we're doing now you're doing information gathering from all the departments and taking a look and trying to close out a portion of our revenue to knowing where we may or may not be in revenue by the end of this fiscal year. So it becomes a technical positive now.
All right, will the budget actually be published before the 7th? The draft budget?
Hopefully we'll have it within 48 hours before the budget. The Friday, the 7th is on a Monday, correct?
Correct.
7th is on a Monday. Hopefully we'll have it by Thursday afternoon, if not Friday night.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other comments? Yeah, a couple of other things. Whether it's on the 18th, there was an election. And if you would have been at prior meetings or had seen the paper, what we've done, because of the way that the election is structured this year, is there'll be 2 polling places. One, for people south of Main Street will be at Park Street Firehouse. And those north of Main will be at Jennings Avenue. Cuts down on costs. And
Those living on Main Street
I'll go on
are
Jennings.
going to Jennings.
go to Jennings.
Right, so it's not like the south side of Main Street and the north side of Main Street.
Okay.
All of Main Street.
All of Main Street will be.
Dennis, you vote in the firehouse.
Yes, thank you.
Everybody's gonna go to the fire.
The Jennings Avenue.
I
Yes.
have really pretty postcards that are going to every household here.
Just do that. And Michelle just gave me, we had litigation going on, with Attorney Egan, that's going on for the last, 6 years,
Yep.
that we have won today.
Well, there was please report to the board, the members of the public, that this has been a torturous road for the village of Patchogue, being sued by a property owner who alleged that our fire marshal and the Patchogue Fire Department illegally entered his rental property and conducted an alleged illegal search and violated his constitutional rights to be free from illegal search and seizure. Along the lines of Trustee Ferb's point, that unfortunately the system's going to take so long because we try to be careful to avoid this. It is good that this is the only case that we've had in this long time period, and this case has had a very torturous path through the U.S. Federal District Court. But today, we were pleased to get a unanimous jury verdict in favor of the village dismissing the case. So it was a significant victory for the village. It was a vindication of the building department's processes, and it was a vindication of the taxpayers, a massive savings in their pursuit of both a judgment against the village and a substantial award of attorney fees, and now they take nothing, because the jury believed the good work of the village, which included John Poulos, the fire marshal, Joanne Gallo and Carol Giglio, who I'd like to point out too, whose testimony, who were in the building department and not strangers to anyone in the room, were credited as being extremely credible by the jurors, and so it was a significant victory for the village today, and it's certainly a vindication for us and the processes and the people who work on behalf of the citizens and also on behalf of the board.
Just a little background, that they had received a phone call from a resident that there was a light switch that was sparking. John Poulos, the fire marshal, called the property owner, Mr. Mangino, and explained that he was on his way over, so it was an agreement he had that he would never enter the home without Mr. Mangino. When he gets there, Mr. Mangino said, no, you can't come into the house. John asked a number of times, and then, not out of frustration, but out of a concern, called the fire department. Once the fire department is called, they control whatever property they're on. They control the scene. And they went in the home, and they did a full search. And they have the meters you can put in the wall, and they did find the plug she was talking about, and they disconnected it, whether it was sparking or not. But Mr. Mangino's claim then is that they entered parts of the building that they didn't need to enter. And the judge, well, the jury, well, their infinite wisdom understood what our responsibilities are as a community, what the building and housing department, fire department's responsibilities are. And I think that Mr. Egan's comment in terms of my sense, I think his was, this was a lawsuit about getting attorney's fees, which would have been substantial.
No question. And 8 years of federal litigation.
And it's one of the homes over on Church Street. But any other comments by the board? Motion to adjourn.
Any question? Johnson, 904 Ivy Drive. I was just seeing if anything's going on with the dock. Any progress going on with the dock?
You know,
What's going on with it?
we've been in battle with FEMA. We have all of our paperwork in. They've agreed on what it is. They have what's called a blue book. The problem that you have, we go and spend a dime on that dock that doesn't conform to the way, the plan that they agreed to, which is $1.2 million, then we will get nothing. So and I'm not about to spend the kind of money that we need to do it without getting the 1.2.
Yeah, but when is it going to come to a point? I mean,
It comes to,
who makes the decision?
they make the decision. We can make the decision to spend $550,000, $600,000, $700,000, that's what it costs, just to put it back to where it is. But to put it back in a manner that will withstand under the storm costs about $1.2 million. And, you know, it's funny because the question was asked earlier today before this meeting. I think Brian, you had brought it up. And I have sent emails, I have sent letters, I've made phone calls.
To FEMA, nobody answered that.
It's the governor's contact, the governor's designated representative.
When did we get the Irene money? Last fall.
Yeah.
We got the Irene money last
Yeah.
fall.
Right. And what is that? That's just sitting in a
It's the
fund?
federal government. You know,
They-
they just
They
get around.
they sent us $275,000 for the damage that was done 2.5 years ago.
Right.
We sent the money back and said, we want the 1.2 million, because if we took the 275, they would have considered that full payment.
Hmm.
So
All right.
it is just
Thank you.
complicated. Motion to adjourn. Second.